placing the hook in the vise, we will place the hook in the jaw between the bend and the point of the hook, and make sure the shank of your hook is level to your table. Attach your tying thread to the hook and tie in the gold wire. First we will tie our thread about an eye length back from the eye, and then trim the tag. Next we'll take about 4 to 5 inches of gold wire, secure it under the shank of the hook, and run your thread to the bend, securing the gold wire to the bend of the hook. Step 3. Learning how to dub fur and create a body. Some people have problems with dubbing fur, so I added a little wax to the thread. Now we'll take some superfine tan dubbing fur. We will take some out of the package, but what I'm going to show you is less is better. So take even less from the package. You can practically see through the dubbing, and then what we're going to do is twist it on the thread in one direction. What we are doing is we're creating a very fine dubbing noodle by twisting it in one direction on the tying thread. So we're going to get a pretty good length of dubbing to create the body. And then what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this dubbing noodle at the bend of the hook, and then we're going to start creating the body going forward towards the eye of the hook. Now the caddis fly that we're tying is usually thicker in the back, and as we go towards the head, which would be the eye of the hook, it will be thinner. So we will keep adding more fur and repeating this process several times until we get to the quarter of the shank of the hook away from the eye. Step 4. Tying in the hackle. Now we'll take a hackle from a rooster neck. What we need is what is called a hackle gauge. This hackle gauge also can measure the hook and tell you the size of the hook. But what we like to do is this one has a pin on it and all these lines. So these lines are when we bend the hackle around the pin, the hackle tips will hit a line. So I'm going to take a hackle feather. I'm not going to pull it off because if it's the wrong one, I don't want to take it. I'm going to bend it around the pin as shown, and I'm going to look to see where the tips hit. So this hackle bends around the pin, and it's actually for a size 10 hook. What I'm going to do is look for another one down lower, and I'm going to want to get between a 10 and a 12 so that we could use it. So I bend it around the pin, see that the tips hit the line that I'm looking for. Then I'll pull it off the cape. Then I'll look at the feather, and what we have to do is strip the webby part of the feather, and you can see this is a good feather where we can see the webbiness where it was that black stripe. So what we would do is stroke the feather so that the barbs are perpendicular to the stem, and then what we're going to do is peel those barbs off so we do not use them. And then I'll just cut the rest of the stem off, and the feather is ready to be used for the Elk Hair Caddis. Now we will take the hackle and we will place it under the shank of the hook and let the thread catch it under the shank and put a few wraps to secure the hackle in place right by the dubbing. Then take your scissors and cut the hackle stem. Next we'll take our hackle pliers and we'll attach the hackle pliers to the tip of the hackle, and what we're going to do is wrap 2 times in the front, and then we're going to work our way back, palmer ribbing the hackle and making sure we have nice even spaces in between each of the wraps. We're going to try to get at least 5 or 6 good wraps through the body, and then we will stop it at the bend of the hook. Step 5. Using the gold wire to rib the fly. Once we have the hackle at the bend, we're going to take the gold wire and wrap it 2 times around the bend, securing the hackle. And then we will take our hackle pliers off the hackle, and now we'll take our gold wire and evenly space wrap through the body and try not to trap the hackle fibers with the wire. By doing this, this really secures the fly, making it a nice durable fly. Now when we get to the top, we will wrap 2 or 3 times, and then we will just wiggle the wire back and forth and it'll break off. Now take your scissors and go and cut the hackle tip off at the bend of the hook. Step 6. Tying in the elk hair wing. Stacking the elk hair to make the wing. For the elk hair caddis, we're going to use, of course, elk hair. And the reason is elk hair is a little thicker than deer hair, and buoyant. Here's a piece of deer hair that I use for spinning. It's almost as thick as the elk hair, as you could see, between the tips and the butts. You can use the deer hair, and I'm going to get up a little closer, but there is a little thickness for the elk hair. The tips are a little lighter. Here is some coastal deer hair, which is a lot thinner. Now we're going to take a hair stacker, and what we're going to do is cut some hairs from the hide, about the thickness of or half the thickness of a pencil. So I'll take the tips of my scissor and take out as much as I'm going to need, and I'm going to trim this right at the hide. Once this is trimmed, there is going to be underfur at the butts, so I'm going to take a comb, a small fine comb used for beards or mustaches, and I'm going to just comb it through the butts. And as you can see, there's some underfur that has been removed. Now I'll take the tips and place them inside the hair stacker, because we're trying to stack the tips, not the butts that we cut, because those are already cut and lined up, but it's the fine tips that we want to use for the wing. So now we'll just hold the funnel in place and one couple of wraps on the table, and we will be done. Now we will remove the elk hair from the hair stacker. So we'll take the hair stacker, we'll pull off the external tube, and we'll see that all the tips have lined up. Now we'll take the elk hair from the funnel and then place it on top of the hook shank and use the pinch method to secure it in place, also making sure that the tips do not extend past the bend of the hook. We'll take 2 or 3 good wraps using the pinch method, and then we're going to take a third of the butts and pass the thread through, take another third, pass the thread through, and take the rest of them and secure and make a head at the eye of the hook. Then we'll take our half hitch tool, wrap 2 times around, slide it right on over the eye. This will give us a half hitch knot. Then, or you can whip finish it using a whip finish tool. At least 2-3 good turns of the whip finish tool. Make sure the butts are out of the way. Then cut the thread with your scissors, and then trim the elk hair butts evenly to make a head. And then what you can do is take a couple of drops of head cement and right at the thread wraps, and your fly will be done.